Going on, everyone? I've got you guys an update on some pretty big and active times ahead that will be unfolding across parts of the nation today and into this weekend. We have a few things to make mention of, as we do have a very large flooding threat out here for portions of southern New England, and I'm afraid that we could have potentially life-threatening flooding in this region right here because there is a developing coastal low. All right, this is not a tropical storm, but this is a coastal low. All right, that is going to be moving kind of like this, and it is going to be delivering some pretty large and excessive. I wouldn't say large, but very heavy and excessive rainfall for a few days. So we really got to watch that system closely, and I think that one's going to be the one that's really going to cause some really bad flooding. So things are gonna all of a sudden get pretty active here as we get into our in the home stretch of September. All right, so let me switch my mouse color here so you can see what I'm drawing on the screen. But we also do have some severe weather. I wouldn't even say severe weather, but just some strong to severe storms associated with a pretty big system moving its way across the central U.S. This is just pushing pretty much due east. I don't think it's going to make it that far east. This is just going to kind of fizzle out, but this has been with us for a few days now. Still some ongoing strong to severe storms out in the southern region out here out into parts of central and eastern Oklahoma, but nothing to really worry about with those storms. We do have a developing storm system out here in the western U.S. that's going to get going pretty soon into this weekend. So we've got pretty much three things we're going to talk about, and we have the tropics to talk about as newly formed tropical storm Rina is out there in the Atlantic, which is also with tropical storm Philippe or Philippe. I think it's Philippe. I haven't looked it up yet, but you guys remind me in the comments. But we'll move on now to our alerts here. So going over to our alerts, you can see it is looking more active than yesterday. First of all, you can see that we do have a lot of flood watches and warnings out here in parts of southern New England and also into parts of the Delmarva region here and in the Mid Atlantic. First, you can see we have a coastal flood. We have a coastal flood warning. All right, this is a coastal flood warning. This goes out for some county out here, southern New England. I can't really tell out here. I can't point this out, but you can see that we have coastal flood watches and just regular flood watches that go all the way up towards portions of southern New York State, going down toward Long Island. I believe a good chunk of western Long Island is included in a coastal flood and just a regular flood watch. All right, and this goes into parts of western Connecticut, goes down into New Jersey. All right, and you can see this green here. This is a regular coastal flood. This is a coastal flood advisory here. All right, and so that's for you guys out on the coast in these regions. For the rest of you guys in this light green, that's just a regular flood advisory going down towards the coastal regions of Virginia. But this dark green is our regular flood watch, all right? And I really do think that we're going to get some pretty intense rainfall that could lead to, some major flash flooding out there. All right, gusty winds continue to persist across parts of Arizona and Southern California in our desert regions. We have some very strong winds out here, showing up here with a wind advisory. This is marking wind gusts that could get up to 40 to 60 miles an hour. That's going to cause some downed trees, some power lines could definitely come down with those trees coming down on top of them. That's going to be out for that area right there. But other than that, nothing much for the Southwest. Maybe some lingering showers out there. That would definitely be good because you guys have really not got much rain this year. All right. But then we also do have some winter weather advisories. All right, this goes out for the mountainous regions of California, the Sierras. All right, we're getting into that fall season where we start getting some cooler temperatures coming in. So we're going to start talking about some snow and winter weather. And so here you go, right here we have winter weather ongoing out there in California. And then for the last part of this for the last segment of this update here, in terms of as far as our alerts go, we have a red flag warning. All right, this is a pretty much just a fire warning, I guess you could put it that way. That goes out for parts of southern Wyoming down into northwestern Colorado into extreme eastern Utah. So other than that, not much going on across the United States today. So we look at our temperatures here, and we'll put this back. We'll put this to 2 p.m. for tomorrow. So let's see where we'll start out at 8 p.m. here. So you can see pretty much the same as this morning. You're starting out very chilly out here in the western U.S. Look at this huge pocket of cold air that's stretching all the way down towards northwestern parts of Wyoming. So for most of you guys, I wouldn't even say most of you, but for a lot of you guys out there in the Pacific Northwest, you could be waking up to temperatures that are pretty well below freezing. You can see these dark blues. I mean, these are temperatures getting below 30 degrees. So maybe some of you could wake up and it's as cold as 29, 28 degrees. So it is going to feel like winter out there for most of you guys, and that's pretty weird. But it's gonna warm up a lot. All right. And for the rest of you guys, it'll be in the 40s. Some of you may wake up to the 50s if you're farther west or farther south. But this entire region is going to be very, very chilly as we get started with our day. All right. This is where our cold front is right now. This is it right here, and you've got some cold shots pushing in through here and through here. All right, and this is going to be pushing this high pressure off to the off to the east, which is also going to help push this storm. Not completely. This coastal storm is not completely going to go out to sea, as we are definitely going to get some big impacts from this coastal storm. But that's going to help it it's going to help keep it away from the mainland of the United States. This region here that we don't want it to get to. It can't just go like that because that high pressure ridging has to be pushed off to the east, and that also shoves the storm uh, not quite out to sea, but in that general area. So, if I hope that all made sense to you guys, but that's pretty much how things are going to be working for us this week, late this week into this weekend. All right, we get to 2 p.m. We're looking at your daytime highs. Out here in the Northeast, if you're in that area where I just marked with that flooding concern, you're gonna be topping off at roughly around 60 degrees, especially on the coastline. We're getting into southern New York State, places of far eastern Pennsylvania. Um, Barely touching 60 degrees, 57 out here for the Philadelphia area. All right, and we go all the way up towards northern New York State and Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. You guys will all be in the upper 50s and 60s, but then areas even farther north are in the 70s. So it's way warmer up here farther north than it is down here with you guys. That's because there's a lot of moisture. There's a big moisture content in the atmosphere, and that's going to be one of the reasons why we're getting so much rainfall. And it's just because because of that moisture, it's really helping to fuel the system. All right, but we look at what's going on in the central U.S. Still got somewhat uh, of a ridging going on out here. All right, you've got high temperatures going into the 90s. Most of you guys getting into the lower 90s. Some of you getting into the upper 80s, mid to upper 80s. For the Midwest U.S., if you're farther southwest out here towards Missouri and parts of southwestern Iowa, you could get around like 86, 85, 86, maybe getting up to 90 degrees. But if you're in places like Illinois or southern Wisconsin, places of southern Minnesota, getting into Indiana, you'll probably be in the 70s, some of you getting into the 80s. For the northwestern U.S., 50s, 40s, and 50s for most of you guys. If you're down here in the southern areas of states, in the southwestern areas of states, if that makes sense, or southeastern, I should say, you guys could get a little bit warmer, maybe getting into the 60s, but really not a warm day at all for pretty much any of you guys out there tomorrow. So we look at the southeast out here. You guys, let me get rid of this. Um, you guys will be out there in the 80s, some of you getting into the 90s, the lower 90s, but down towards the Tennessee Valley, some lingering moisture that could bring down temperatures, but I really don't think that it'll be much different for you guys out here. So I think most of you guys will stay in the 80s, some of you getting into the 90s, but that would be pretty much it. So we go over to the NAM 3K model for the Northeast. So we're gonna have to talk about some things when it comes to flooding. All right. So you can see that we already do have a group of rainstorms that's moving their way across portions of the Mid Atlantic region, parts of the Delmarva area. We just got I don't even know what you would call it, but we just got a band of rainfall that moved through our area. Just picked up about 10 hundredths of an inch. All right, so we're getting there. We're starting to get some of that rainfall, but this is just going to get heavier and heavier, and this is going to be pretty much intermittently for a few days. All right, and we see that the rain just continues, and these I guess you could say these could be outer bands of this coastal storm. All right, they're starting to make their way into the region, and notice how we get some very strong rainstorms popping off here across parts of central and southeastern Pennsylvania, going into Long Island, New York City. Just it's extreme downpours. I'm telling you guys, I think around the middle of the night, this is just 3 a.m., it is going to be loud because that rainfall is going to be coming down. And this is just going to continue to bunch up. And, it's still coming down. It's coming down hard. All right. So your first initial time period of very heavy rain is going to be starting around 1 a.m., continuing up until about 12 p.m. So you're getting into from about 1 a.m. in the morning to noon, starting tonight. All right, you're gonna get some very very intense rainfall, but then that second band quickly comes in very quickly. You're gonna get maybe an hour of a break, and then it starts drizzling, and then starts getting very heavy again. All right, this is by 2 p.m. Still raining out here for most of you guys, and we get to 4 a.m. This is Friday into Saturday, and we finally get some sort of a break of the rain out here. Let me get rid of the sounding. But it's gonna continue coming down, and when I say that this is gonna continue intermittently, you can see that we get a few bands that come through, but they have little breaks in them. They have a little breaking in them right here, some little weak spots. That is where you could get a break in the rain. All right, and so when you enter one of those weak spots, then that's how you can get your break in the rain. But then that weak spot is either filled in or it just passes over, and because that storm is rotating. All right, I could even say that this has a shot at maybe becoming a tropical cyclone. All right, because it does have the characteristics. It is spinning in that direction. You can see you've got the counterclockwise spin on it. All right, it's got a central low pressure right here. But it's really too late for this thing to develop. And so that's why this is not expected to become a tropical cyclone. But you know, that's pretty much going to be it for that. But again, you can play through this, and you see that you get about three major rounds of rain. The first one coming in starting at around 3 a.m. in the morning. All right, second one coming in at around 2 p.m. Tomorrow afternoon. All right, stopping at around I guess you could say this would stop at around 5 ish. So the dinner time area, or dinner time frame, I should say. And then that third band of rainfall comes in, and that just continues intermittently for a few hours. So we'll look at the excessive rainfall outlook from the National or actually the Weather Prediction Center. All right, there's a lot of centers and services out there. It's just a lot of it gets me sometimes. It gets me tripped up a little bit here, but um, you can see that for right now we have a slight risk out for this area here of southern New England. This is just for day one, so this is just out from today to the middle of the night tonight. All right, and so this means that we have a 15% chance of seeing flash flooding in a given location, which is basically 25 miles of a point. All right, so let's say, for example, out here in Hartford, Connecticut, all right, you have a 5% risk of flash flooding. All right, then that means that you could have the same risk of flash flooding all the way here towards Providence. I know Providence is way out here, but I mean, if you get what I'm saying, this is farther, just a little bit, 25 miles or so farther east. So that's basically what that means. So you can see that this slight risk is including all of central and western Long Island going towards New York City. In New York City, you guys are pinpointed in the middle of that risk. So if there were to be a major city that would get flooded, that would be New York City. I think that that's going to be something that you're going to hear not only for today but for the rest of this system. All right, and I'll show you why in a minute. But this goes up into parts of southwestern Connecticut. All right, this is in this little area of Connecticut, and then this goes down. This goes up, I should say, into southern New York State, down through New Jersey. This goes into northern New Jersey, down towards Trenton, Edison, and central and southern New Jersey. But notice how this is just including pretty much the eastern side of New Jersey. If you're out here, way out here on the western side of New Jersey towards Pennsylvania, all right, you have a smaller chance of seeing flash flooding. But you still have a chance because we do get a marginal risk here, including the surrounding areas, including eastern Long Island, including parts of northern, northwestern, and central Connecticut. This is including both Waterbury and Hartford. All right, this goes into southwestern Massachusetts, including Springfield. You have parts of even farther north into parts of central and southern New York State. You have a marginal risk, and then this goes down into parts of extreme eastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia. All right, also includes Allentown. This is just out. Reading is just outside of this risk here, so I would pretty much include you guys. And then this goes down towards southern New Jersey. So that's the day one outlook. We go to day two, and this is where things get very interesting and very dangerous. Okay, so for day two, we have a this what we call a moderate risk for flash flooding, and this goes out for a precise location. All right, this goes out for. Let me get rid of this here. I apologize for that. This goes out for parts of central, eastern, and western Long Island. So pretty much all of Long Island is included in a moderate risk for flash flooding, which means that there is a 40% chance of flash flooding within 25 miles of a given location here. And so that is including New York City. That is including my location, all right, which is pretty much in this area right here. I'm right here. So I am most likely going to give you guys updates on what the storm brings us, to my town. So if I do encounter some flooded roads, which I most likely will, if I'm in this risk here, I will definitely try and get some of that footage for you guys. But anyways, we look at the surrounding areas. This does go into parts of southwestern Connecticut. This does include Bridgeport, Connecticut. I believe that's what it says here. Goes down towards southern New York State, goes into extreme northeastern New Jersey, down the coast towards Toms River, and that's where this moderate risk ends. Then you've got your slight risk. All right, your slight risk is marked in this yellow. This is at least a 15% chance of flash flooding. All right, and let me zoom out here because this really spreads out a lot, and this goes all the way up towards central New York, including the Albany area. This goes into western Massachusetts. This includes pretty much all of Rhode Island, unless you're in the extreme, like northeastern part of Rhode Island. All right, this includes the rest of New Jersey, other than the southern part of New Jersey, and goes a little bit further into Pennsylvania. All right, that's for the slight risk. All right, for that marginal risk, where we still have a 5% chance of flash flooding, but it's not the worst of scenarios here. This is including parts of central and down eastern Massachusetts, including parts of southwestern New Hampshire, parts of southern Vermont. This is including this is actually just southwest of Concord. All right, and this goes up towards central New York, down towards the Philadelphia area and eastern Pennsylvania, and then includes also the rest of southern New Jersey. So it's a pretty big area, especially for the day two outlook. But I am very concerned, especially for portions of Long Island, New York City, southern Connecticut, southwestern Connecticut to be specific, and northeastern New Jersey. I think you guys are going to see some pretty major flooding as far as flooding is concerned for day two. All right, this is just for day two, meaning this is for Friday into Saturday. All right, so we look at our possible rainfall totals. This is the 18Z HRRR. I'm looking at the 18Z because this goes out 60 hours or 48 hours, excuse me. So this is just 2 days out from now. All right, so we'll put this out to as far as it goes. All right, you can see these temperatures, or excuse me, these rainfall totals really expanding quickly as we get into around 11 in the morning tomorrow. So we're getting to around noon here, and we could potentially already have around 4 inches of rain on the ground here across western New York City. So the HRRR model right now is favoring New York City and Western Long Island to get the most rain so far. All right, and I'm not trying to freak you out, guys, but the HRRR model is showing something that I am kind of surprised, but also very, very scared to see here. So, if I zoom in here, which I actually don't think I can, but anyways, you can see that in that same exact area. Notice that same exact area of that moderate risk, we have some crazy rainfall totals. We could see in these yellows and these oranges, including New York City and all pretty much all of Western Long Island. You're in these yellows. I mean, this is marking up to maybe even 10 inches of rain. I really do not think that 10 inches of rain is going to fall in 48 hours. I don't expect these numbers to be true, but I think that we could look at different models too and see what they're saying about this. But if we continue seeing numbers like these, I mean, that's not going to be good. That's just going to keep bringing numbers up from different weather forecasters. I know AccuWeather, they're expecting 4 to 8 inches for this area. So we could really get some intense and life-threatening flooding because of this rain. And this rain spreads all the way towards extreme southern New York State into southeastern Connecticut, and then these purples and pinks here. These are rainfall totals ranging from 2 up to around 5 inches of rain. So you're still going to get a very intense and large amount of rain, even outside of that. The center of that marginal moderate risk. So even if you're not in the center, the direct center of that moderate risk, but you are still in that moderate risk, you've got to be ready for tomorrow, because tomorrow is certainly going to be an active day here, and we could see rainfall totals going exceeding 1 inch, going all the way up towards southern Vermont, New Hampshire, up towards central New York State, including all the Albany area, going out towards Pennsylvania and New Jersey. All right, this is going to be a pretty big area that's going to really have to be watched closely. This includes also parts of Nantucket. All right, Martha's Vineyard out here. in the coastal regions of southern Massachusetts. This goes into Rhode Island. All right, a lot of highly populated areas are going to be impacted by the system, and we can see out here especially in southern Massachusetts, how we get this little dome here. This dome is showing around 2 up to 4 inches of rain. So some very large rainfall totals are going to surely spread across the region as we get into tomorrow. So we go on to the National Hurricane Center outlook here for just our this is our wide view of the Atlantic. So you can see that we've got tropical storm Rina and Philippe out here. This could be Philip. I just don't know what the correct pronunciation is of of this system out here. But if you can, please remind me in the comments. That'd be great. If you know what the name is of this storm here. But we'll stick with Felipe here. It is a 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm. All right, it's got minimum central pressure at around 1,003 millibars. So this is a very weak storm, and it's weakening pretty. It's weakening pretty fast, and this is also moving very slowly. This is moving just at 2 miles an hour. So this is pretty much staying in place, and this could even stall out if this number drops to 0 miles an hour. That would mean that uh, this would just stall out, and then that would allow Rina to scoop up all that moisture and then potentially become a hurricane out here towards Bermuda. All right, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is that Felipe and Rina will undergo what we call the Fujiwara effect, where two tropical cyclones they collide, and basically what happens there is, in most common cases, the stronger one basically engulfs the weaker one, and it takes in all that moisture. And if the stronger one is strong enough, it can actually strengthen because of that. And in that case, Felipe may have a chance to become a hurricane. So we're gonna have to watch that throughout the next few days into next week. But we look at tropical storm Rina. All right, this formed this morning, or actually this afternoon. Excuse me. It's a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm. All right, it's got a minimum central pressure at around 1,004 millibars, and it is just it's racing Felipe right here. It's gaining on Felipe, so they are pretty much about to collide, and I think they could collide as soon as tomorrow morning. All right, so this is going to be something that you're really gonna have to watch. So we're really just gonna have to make sure that we're paying attention to what these two storms could do, because if Rina or Felipe becomes a hurricane for that reason, and they get to this point here, we could really start to have to worry about impacts towards the United States. But I mean, it's way too far out really to make any it's way too far out to make any forecast about this. Like I've said, in past updates, but I just want to let you guys know that I do think that if we get to a point here, that we could start to have to worry about potentially some impacts towards Bermuda and then maybe the United States. But it's very far out. All right, so we move on to our 5 day cone here for this is for tropical storm Felipe. So right now it is expected to continue as a tropical storm, starting to move south. All right, this is going to drop south, and it's looking like it's headed for the Lesser Antilles, and it's taking a very weird path. I mean, this has changed ridiculously, just in the span of like 3 days. All right, in one of my recent updates, this was expected to slam into Puerto Rico, and now it's expected to completely miss Puerto Rico and the rest of the Caribbean islands. All right, so we really still have no clue what the storm is going to do. But as of right now, the National Hurricane Center is forecasting this storm to move down to this point here by Sunday. We're getting into 2 p.m. Sunday, and it takes an abrupt turn north, and it's still a tropical storm. But this is where they have their cone of uncertainty. So we still do not know. We don't know exactly where the storm could go. So I think this could tick west, and then Puerto Rico could be re-entered in that cone. But we really have not the best idea of where Philippe could go, but we are expecting Philippe to stay as a tropical storm up until this point at around Tuesday. But that's when things could get interesting, and Felipe could actually strengthen. All right, so we look at now tropical storm Rina. All right, Rina is pretty much going to do her thing unless she actually bumps into Felipe and they undergo the Fujiwara effect. All right, but for now, it's a pretty simple cone here. We're expecting the storm to continue as a tropical storm up until around Sunday, and then we enter that cone of uncertainty. It's still a tropical storm though by Tuesday, and this is looking like it's going to go right for Bermuda. But there's some ticking farther west, so this could start curving out to sea potentially. And I think that this could barely miss Bermuda, but if it continues on its path, you can see it would pretty much take out Bermuda with it. All right, so there could be two possible ways that the system could go, but we're just gonna have to look out for that in future updates. So we look at the wide view of the Atlantic here. We look at what could happen out here, where some new upcoming storms could develop. This is the new 18Z GFS, so I have actually not looked at this yet, so this is all new to me. But we'll just see what the GFS is saying as for now. So here goes Bull Storm. So you can see the GFS is showing Rina really taking off as a 994 millibar, a very strong tropical storm, and Felipe is pretty much nothing out here. It's just a glob of moisture, but we see what happens here, and all of a sudden, you know, Rina she's really strengthening, and then all of a sudden, Felipe starts strengthening very very quickly, and Rina starts weakening, and that is a sign of the Fujiwara effect, and we see what happens here if these storms actually do collide, and this technically would still be Rina. Alright, but at the same time, Felipe is now a full on Category 2 hurricane here. Alright, and this is just 90 hours out. So the GFS and the National Hurricane Center are pretty much completely different. And the GFS wants these two storms to undergo the Fujiwara effect together. And the winner of the Fujiwara effect would be Tropical Storm, which could be potentially future Hurricane Felipe. And let's see how strong the GFS wants Felipe to get and where it's going to go. And so, pretty much as it moves north, it's still strengthening. It's trying its hardest to strengthen over these cooler waters just because, they're starting to wind down uh, after a lot of big hurricanes were out here, and also we're getting to fall, which we get some cooler temperatures, which bring down the sea surface temperatures. So it's a little bit less favorable for hurricane support out here in the Atlantic. So we see how strong Felipe gets. GFS is hinting a possible Category 3 hurricane, which would be a major hurricane, and we still have a Category 3 hurricane all the way from around the 4th to the 6th, really. And we still have I guess this is still a pretty much a Category 3 hurricane by the 7th. All right, we're getting to October 3rd, or excuse me, October 8th. And at this point, this is Felipe is just wide out in the open Atlantic. So we really have some great confusion of what is going to happen here. But let me tell you guys, I think that I think what's gonna happen is that uh, they are going to undergo the Fujiwara effect, and I think Felipe is going to be moving like this, and then it's gonna go out to sea. So I'm pretty much right now agreeing with the GFS. All right, um, and so basically, uh, I think that the track of Felipe, according to the National Hurricane Center, is pretty good because it's not going. It's the GFS and the National Hurricane Center are agreeing that Felipe is not going to make a direct hit or landfall on land. It's just going to bring some light to moderate impacts to uh, the Lesser Antilles, but it's just going to be taking these weird turns as it undergoes the Fujiwara effect with tropical storm. Tropical storm. What was it? I forgot. I think it's. Let's look here. I completely spaced out. I don't know what's going on here. Tropical storm Rina. Yes, I really apologize about that. I just completely blanked out right there, and I don't usually do that in my updates. So just bear with me for a second. But I think that the National Hurricane Center doesn't have the best track forecast for tropical storm Rina. I think it should be shorter. But that's just from the experts. You always gotta listen to the experts. But what I think is that Rina is just gonna have a little bit of a shorter path here. So we'll look at now the next part of the update, which we can get through really quickly. Just going to look at what's going to go on back home, looking at the GFS model for some possible upcoming storms out here that could develop across the region. So we really don't get much action up until the 3rd. This is the severe weather event that I'm eyeing, along with some other forecasters out here. We see the GFS has been it's been repeatedly saying that we could get some sort of a severe weather event that could unfold across the Central Plains, the Northern High Plains around October 3rd. All right, continuing pretty much up until October 4th, and we get a pretty large system out of this with maybe some snow up towards extreme northern Minnesota, North Dakota. But this could be a multi-day severe weather event that could eventually scoop farther east, and then kind of strengthen into a secondary severe weather event for the Northeast. So we really don't know what's going to happen here, but I think we're going to get some sort of a big event here that could involve severe weather sometime next week. So that's going to wrap up the video, guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. I'll see you guys in the next video. I apologize for the bumps and bruises in the just the video in general. So I apologize about those interruptions, but we just gotta continue watching the tropics. Definitely watch that. Don't even watch it. Just make sure that you know what is going to be happening with that flood threat out in the Northeast. So if you are in the Northeast or in that area that I pointed out with that flood threat, I'll circle it again for you guys right here. All right, you got to make sure that you are expecting you know what to expect here from the system, and you know what is going to happen out there according to the National Weather Service, and then also people like me who are doing forecasts for you guys. So don't be scared, be prepared, turn around, don't drown. Just make sure you guys are staying safe out there, and I will see you guys in the next video. So thank you all for coming to watch, and I'll see you guys soon.